Welcome to the Your Message Received podcast. And now, taking your message to the finish line, your host, John Duffin.
Hey folks, John Duffin here, Duffin Media. Welcome back to another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the home, the place, the platform to help you find your best, most true, authentic business voice. Heck, we'll make it even more broad-based. Find your own true voice. Get what you want, find what you need, improve your results, make billions of dollars. I'm leaving that last platitude to my guest today. I don't know that we can guarantee that, but we've got Rich Kozak on the line with us today. I am really excited. Brand expert, language of the brand, not just for companies, but for you. Rich, welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks, John. It's great to be here. And there are some things, if you're listening to this podcast, there are some things you'll have never heard that you'll hear, and it will change the way you think about you and what you do. And it will, I believe, take weight off your shoulders. Very well, maybe a blessing to your business and your life. So stay tuned.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. Look, I love the fact that when we're looking with people that have had a strong degree of longevity, RichBrands company is a company that's been developed, and Rich has also, as I said, worked with a lot of successful companies developing their brand. I love the fact right away, Rich, I wanted to ask you in regards to brands and business overall. And you touched on in the video that you were kind enough to show me, one of the aspects of brand is not just something you smack on somebody's backside and send them on their way. What is it, so to speak? What is it that drew you to the idea of identification of others?
That's a great question. I did spend almost 20 years running a large agency. We had partners in 21 countries. I was on global brand teams. So the branding we did was either with companies that were launching or companies that had been around a long, long time, and they had strategies that would take them to new places, and they felt they needed to evolve. So I spent a lot of time teaching CEOs and their direct reports what the process of branding is. They don't see it as a process. They see it as kind of artsy, fartsy, airy-fairy stuff, particularly if they came up in finance or they're lawyers or something, which are a lot of the CEOs. So, or engineers. And we taught the steps, because it is steps. And that's one, if you're listening to this and you're one person, you're a solopreneur, or maybe you're an expert, or maybe you've run a business, you have a bunch of people who work for you. When it's time to evolve the way your company or you personally or what you do is perceived, and that's what a brand is, it's just a process. So let's just start there. So what drew me to doing it to helping individuals, not big companies, which is where I was for a lot of my career, but individuals who know there's more for them, who want to make more impacts than they already are. There are many of you, you might be one of those people who've done something for years and you're really good at it, but you feel like you're at the gate to the next level of you, and the gate's locked, or you don't know how to build the stairs to get to the next level of the house, but there's more. That is a very common feeling. And when I shifted, thanks for referring to the video. I made a decision. I was still doing all-nighters at the agency when I turned 50. And that's literally, and I looked in the mirror and said to myself, you're overweight, you're heading for a heart attack. It's like, this might not be what you're here for. So I changed my prayer and said, Lord, show me what you want me to do. I'm ready. Over time, a lot of individuals ask me to help them with their personal brands. And out of kindness, I did. And what came to me in doing 3 right in a row, and it was interesting, a month 1, month 2, month 3, where 3 different people came and asked me to help them, 3 very different brands, in helping an individual reach into themselves and write down the impacts they clearly see making when their brand thrives at that next level, and then defining the brand they must become, what happens is the brand is completely authentic to them, and everything their brand says and does aligns with the impacts. That's remarkable. If God put the impacts in our hearts, the desire for impacts in our hearts to lead us to what we're really here for, this isn't even my work. This is God's work. And so the whole thing changed. So what drew me to saying today at Rich Brands, we're evolving individual brands with deep clarity, which is the missing piece. Let's not get around, and we can talk about that in finding your voice. Deep clarity, energetic longevity, because we want to be doing what we love, what we're enjoying for more decades. And we can. The technology's here. We just need to do things right, but we get to do what we love for more decades. Great. And divine purpose, because frankly, we're all here given a purpose, but we didn't give ourselves the purpose. And our businesses might not be why we're here, but they certainly are a vehicle. And when we get the branding thing really right, not only does it create a wonderful business, but it gives us a platform to step into why we're really here. So praise God. So that's what drew me.
Powerful, powerful, good stuff. Now, I want to take a couple steps back.
Not your normal branding guy, okay?
Good. So here, I want to take a couple steps backwards before we propel forward. And here's what I was like in a couple different things, which is the words that you're choosing, but I'll go back to those. Let me go one step even further back, which is agency work, and me I came from broadcast television ad sales on the sales side, on the opposite side, right? Was often the world of problem solving, and in essence, not shoving something down somebody's throat, but making it feel as if something that you did is true to someone else. And there was a lot of push-pull in that regard too. Can you give me an example or so of where you felt like in that field before you're doing the 50-year-old all-nighters, like before then, where you felt like you created impact without proprietary metrics? I don't mean that, but what I mean is, are there an example or so where you felt like, oh my God, nobody saw that coming, and we affected change?
Well, that's a fascinating question. I can't take credit for it, but I'll take you into an agency moment.
There you go.
Where things happen that fit what you just described. There are creative moments. This is a little bit different than following a process. This is solving a problem, for a client. So we're sitting in a room at the agency. The agency president, I'm exec vice president, has gathered everybody and bought pizza for everybody for lunch because we're going to brainstorm. One of our largest clients is in the uniforms business, and we have made the decision of where we're going to advertise for them. We looked at all the metrics and we said it's going to be sports programs at venues like at the ballpark. You open the program and there's an ad in the inside front cover for the uniform. Why? Because no one at companies would say that they're responsible for uniforms. The secretary might be, the receptionist might be, the president might be, whoever, the administrator. Nobody wanted to say, yeah, I handle the uniforms. So we couldn't find them because they don't tell you who's handling the uniforms. You know what I mean? So you don't know who you're targeting. Right. So it was a good buy. We're going to buy ballparks in a bunch of different sports because people take their customers to sports. You're going to get business people. Great. Now it's time for the headline. And we're there to brainstorm the headline. And and there's a lot of creative, worldly people, and they're writing this. We're putting things on the board, like it's brainstorm. So there's no critic, there's no critique. It's just writing down. And the president is looking at what we're doing. He goes, yeah, we got some good ideas. Um, it's I know we're going to find out because when it comes right down to it, great things happen when you put on a uniform, and we all went,
Oh,
and that was the
I
headline.
liked it.
That was the
Right?
headline, and that was the headline for decades. So there are moments,
Mhm.
and today in working with individuals in the process of
Yep.
defining and languaging the brand that will take their brand to the next level of impact, because that's what they want.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
There are moments like that. I would say the quintessential moment is when there's a step 5 called categories of expertise. And it's what categories of expertise must your brand be known for in order to make your impacts. We write a bunch of different expertises down, and then we kind of put them in order of which one would you have to be known for first. Then we craft how to say it. In the crafting how to say it, and sometimes there are several people in the room because we're doing this in a small group, and I do a thing called Brand Accelerator Mastery. And sometimes, we'll create a phrase, and somebody will say, change the word "the" to "a," reverse it, and all of a sudden energy pops. And one of the 4 things that a brand, even your individual brand, must have to come alive and not fall flat, to not, to be heard,
Right.
is unique language that transfers energy. If you say what you do in a way that no one else does, and they feel it, or they go, "Oh, wow, I got to go, but can I have your card?" Something happens. There's an intangible brand promise. They feel it, but they don't know what it is. Like the woman speaking at the Next Level Body Conference is an expert at body intelligent yoga. Body intelligent yoga. I've done yoga for 10 years in my $1 million house, but I don't know what is. I want that. What's in there? It's that intangible brand promise. There's 3 words: body intelligent yoga. But when you craft a category of expertise that is unique and transfers energy, those moments occur, and people scream, "Oh! I think we nailed it!" Everybody feels it, and you can tell it's going to work. Those are amazing moments, and everybody has them. Everybody has them. It's just part of the process.
Well, you keep using the word process, and I definitely wanted to go into detail in regards to those choices of words. So you're in a pressure-packed field, and folks, I'm guessing, like I said, I'm not the only person that was a fan of Mad Men. So, the way that it was defined in the 60s or 70s or whatever, that way that show evolved into the present tense, very often the thought was, I love the fact even when you were talking about shifting the to a, you know what I mean, in singular words and the exchange of emotion, but the crafting of a story. Here's why I bring this up, like old school versus new, which is one of the reasons I think about it was so often it was a sense of singular siloed conversations. I don't know if that made sense, but I was going to say, but we tell the story for you, and then we present the story to you. And as fascinating as that was, the inherent problem was there wasn't all that much inclusion or collaboration amongst the parties. Rich, am I
Right.
making that about? Am I heading in a right direction as opposed to what was? Where
Well,
we're going to go tell your story.
I went to a trade when I launched RichBrands a couple of years ago at the Best You Expo in Los Angeles. There was I better watch out. I really don't want to point fingers here, but there was a person who was a coach, and they were wearing a superhero costume with lightning boots and a helmet and a bodice of crazy ass kind and bright colors. And they had bought 2 booths next to each other because they had this huge display. Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
That's what I felt when I walked by. I'm like,
Mhm.
who,
Mhm.
I didn't even know what to say. It's not about that. It's not about, slapping a superhero costume on you that makes you something that you're not, or having you ever have a thought. If you're impact driven and you want to, and you know that what you do can touch other people's lives or change an industry, or you can see the impact clearly, and you know that you can make it, and you really want to make the impact on specific types of people that you really do want to impact. If that's you, there is no reason at all for you to feel that your brand is anything like you have to become that you're not. You're already it.
Mm.
It is going to resonate with you.
Mhm.
It's going to fit you like the best pair of shoes you ever wore.
Mhm.
And because all you're doing is creating an umbrella that includes everything that is uniquely you, those expertises that you're known for, but that's not the umbrella. That's a spoke in the umbrella. The question that is most powerful, that'll take you to that next level,
Right.
is what is the umbrella? What is the highest level impacts that you get to make and stand for that's way beyond what you're doing now? Can I tell you a story? I'll make it tangible.
And the answer is yes, of course. Please.
I was judging speaking competitions at an event, and a doctor who had written a book in 1994, he wrote a book called The 14-Day Stress Cure. And then he wrote 23 more books, a lot of them having to do with stress. He was a root cause. I mean, he's Western medical, allopathic, but he was a root cause guy. And so his book was like, he said, there is no such thing as stress. It's these root causes. And when you deal with them, stress disappears. We just call it stress because we have to call it something. But it disappears. So he had been removing stress and anxiety and anger from people's lives in his doctor office for 40 years. He knew that the mastery of stress and the mastery of emotions is the beginning of life mastery. But he never put the pieces together. He was presenting and he said, I'm so frustrated about this stress management industry. I'm going to write my next book called Stress the Bullshit Epidemic. And I got a hold of him. I'm like, don't do that. They'll have you right where they want you. You're the old curmudgeon, angry doctor, And if you are as good as I think you are, let's find the umbrella. Well, now he is the founder of the Institute of Life Mastery, teaching young kids the language and process of life mastery for generations, because he knows that stress mastery and emotions mastery are the beginning of life mastery. But most people don't. They just don't connect the dots. And he didn't connect his own dots to create that umbrella. He's still a stress doctor. He has a great book on anger. He has. What is your umbrella? What is your umbrella? See, if you've been in corporate for a while and you feel like you're not heard anymore, or you feel like you're not getting credit for what makes you outstanding, or there's more for you, but you're not sure how to reposition yourself. Can I deal with the elephant in the room? Let's take the word brand so that nobody gets weirded out about it. Okay. Your brand, and I'm talking to you listening right now, your brand for you, your person. So if it's you're solopreneur, or you're an expert, your brand could be you personally, or it could be an entity you create, or both. So we're over that. But your brand is not what you think it is. Your brand is a perception, but it's not your perception. You see, it's the perception of you and what you're capable of what, your thought in the mind of your most important target audiences, those people whom you most care to impact. If that's the leaders of large law firms, then that's your target audience. If it's individuals who have a special needs child, and if it's a couple that's about to retire, if whomever you most know you can impact, it's their perception. The brand is, so you can tell me all day long about your brand. You can take 10 minutes and go, well, you see, it's based in Greek mythology. Stop. It doesn't matter. It's a perception. And so what the hell is branding? Branding is all those things we get to do. And nobody can afford the time and money to do them all. to shape a consistent perception in the mind of your most important target audiences.
Let me ask you a question before you continue. I want to know more. This is clearly the direction I want to be, but I also I'm curious about something, which is there was a window, a pivot for you, not just that moment when you're doing all-nighters and all that stuff. I'm fascinated. Like, was that a sudden and instant process for you? I'm always curious as to what people are thinking about before they're coming to all of these realizations and you know what I mean? And creating systems and processes and impacts and stuff. I read something where you had said that in essence that you make this call, don't like the way that I look or feel, and I'm doing all-nighters, and I'm 50 years old, blah, blah, blah. And then you just choose to cook full-time for your wife. What was that?
I took a radical sabbatical.
Yeah. So I want to know what the hell a radical sabbatical is before we go into systems and processes, and why you felt compelled to need to do it.
I'm a man of faith. Don't miss the fact that I changed my prayer and said, Lord, I'm going to resign this addictive career.
Mm-hmm.
Show me what you want me to do. I'm ready. That was the prayer.
Okay.
And I prayed for about 6 months and talked with the guy who owned the agency, good friends, and we made a date. And so we said August 31st was my last day. Mm-hmm. So I planned my departure, and let's go back to what we all share. We're all made by the same creator, and we're all here for a reason, unless you think this is just kind of willy-nilly, but I don't. We're all here for a reason, and we get to ask what that reason is. The book I read every morning, I ask for it to land on my heart so that I know what the will for me is. And so I felt that what I was doing at the agency, pouring a crazy amount of personal energy into building relationships with people all over the world and launching the next, I'll try to be as mundane as I can, the next product launch of the next disk drive with the new chipset of semiconductors that has, this and that, it's like, it was not why I was here, was not substantial, was not significant. There was no value that I'm leaving in the world. The legacy was not clear to me. And I know, because of the stages I played on, because of how I affect people, because of how I speak, I was here to do a lot more than that. It just wasn't clear to me what that was. So it was time for me to start asking and focusing on it, not spending every waking hour, doing it all and sleeping hour, working on other people's brands, it's like, and so it's like, maybe this period's over. I'm going to, take a break and focus on why I'm here. And I was fortunate enough, because I had worked for years, to have money put aside, and my wife and I were both okay with it. It's just that night when I was the only one in the agency, it was 2:23 in the morning, and I knew I had to leave by then to get to the parking garage, to drive home and shave and shower and get, put on a new suit, new clothes, and head down to the other direction, which is another hour and a half drive, to be in that conference room to speak to the $14 billion companies, decision dudes, and say, gentlemen, this is the work we've done, and this is what we think is possible. This is what we see for you in your brand and the development of your brand. And I'm shaving, and I'm looking in the mirror at this guy who's, he's 50 and he's overweight, and he's not taking care of himself very well, and he's on the hamster wheel.
Right.
And it was one of those moments of, what? I think it's time. And there's this magic about 50 as well, I guess, But so in a way, it was a turning point. But the period of focusing on what to do now. Now, John, if you knew my mom, she died at 100. She was from the South. And I asked her one day, I said, Mom, what was it like raising me? And she goes, well, darling, you were always busy. So
She was 100?
Yeah.
God bless her. My mom's 95, and I love hearing this. That's great.
100 years and 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she's in heaven now, but she still talks to me. She was in English. She corrects my grammar. She lives right up there in the corner of the office and corrects
the
my
suite number and all that stuff.
I just hear her voice.
Okay.
It's a predicate nominative, darling. Don't dangle that preposition. Yeah. So it wasn't. It became a process.
Right.
It took some time because I needed to reflect, but I got busy right away. And, here I had said, show me what you want me to do. But then I got busy doing real estate investment and going to people's inner circles and learning how to create things and for my own account, because I didn't want to be idle.
No.
I always kind of wanted to do that, but I just got busy in a different way. And so it took a little while, but people asking me to focus on their brands. And I'm saying, I don't do that anymore. And they're like, that's not true. You sit down with everybody and share, and they, you're brilliant and I want to pay you money to do this for me. And so I chose to do it. And when I'd done it for individuals, that was when the shift occurred. I was literally in the choir loft and somehow there's a message going on, and it landed on me that what I'm doing with individuals literally is helping pull these desire for impacts that they already see. When I ask somebody, have your heart give you a person that you can impact and you really want to, who is that? And we describe them. And then we ask, what's the first impact that occurs? And we literally write them down. You do that, great clarity comes from that. And that clarity enables, you can do it for a bunch of different individuals. So it's not just one person. There's this language in the world of branding and the world of, coaches that you need one type of person. That's really unrealistic.
What do you mean? I understood the end of it. I just give me the
question. The question awfully, and I don't like to use the language. I don't use the word NICHE. I don't use the word AVATAR. I don't use that.
Thank God! All right.
Today you need a micro. So it is entrancement, NLP entrancement, and the positioning to make you think that you don't have what you need, and you have to understand something that you don't really understand. So let somebody else guide you in it. That's not true.
I understand this clearly. Understand because you're speaking on it. But I was going to say this to me addresses or at least identifies away from those cliches. I wasn't positive how to spell cliche, or I would have. Get your mom in the background. I don't want any criticism.
It's that same thing. It's a French word, just like niche and niche.
That I get to.
It's that same thing, man.
And the other one, right? But here's what I was going to say. So often you're at these crossroads, and you identify. It's funny because even from a personal side, you identify what certain people are inclined to do. You know what I'll do? I'll cook for my wife every day. You know what? She deserves a turn. You know what I'll do? I'll play with real estate investing because I've always wanted to do that. So you identify like what a lot of people will do, and they either get, often, not speaking for anybody, but you hear, either get restless, bored, or have a need to be back doing things. That not everyone is like, well, I put money aside, so I'm good. It's more than bored. It's to me, it's the sense of that I have to do something, whether it is for fulfillment, because I'm 50 and I feel like I see more and I feel more, or because I have an inherent need. I'm not retiring. I can't retire. I'm not ready, so to speak. So
Mm.
I love the fact that you're identifying a process and taking out the mystery and all that stuff. And now I would like to better identify what you're talking about in terms of the process. And, and by the way, I I'm embarrassed because you've got a mom who 105 months that like is a brain and a teacher. Every time you say the word impacts, plural, it gets my attention. And I'm like, oh, I've never heard it said plural. So anyway, talk to me.
Well, let's deal with the impacts first,
Do
since
that
you
one first,
said it.
right?
So
Okay.
when we say to someone, hey, first of all, just close your eyes and imagine your brand, whatever you see yourself doing, thriving, meaning everything is working. If you've created a workshop, people come to it and they say it's wonderful. If you wrote a book, people say it changed their lives. You do speaking and people stand up and cheer and they say that was marvelous. You're interviewed all over whatever you are doing is working. You're solving problems that have never been solved before. You're applying neuroscience to whatever you're doing is working. You're thriving, and you're thriving. The business is thriving. The question is, and you can do this with your eyes closed, what are you doing? And we only want you to jot down a few words. What are you doing? I created a podcast that talks to people that I wrote a book on whatever. What are you doing when you're thriving?
Right.
And everything is working? And you don't have to write them all down. It's not like we're not trying to be comprehensive, but just what do you see yourself doing? And only write down the things that bring you joy. Don't put down things you think you have to do.
Okay.
Put down what you clearly see yourself doing, because everything you're going to do is going to work. And so what are those things? And they write that down. Or go, okay, fine. That's good. Deal with that. And then we say, okay, when you're thriving, close your eyes again and ask your heart, give me one person. Give me one person that I know I can clearly see in my mind's eye impacting that person. Or if it's, it might be a company or an industry, but typically it's a type of person. And we'll see that person. And you really want to impact that. So who is that? And they describe it, and it might be a man or a woman or whatever it is. And we write down what makes that person the one that is the right fit and you can really impact. What makes them that? Have they had do they have a situation in their life? Are they of a certain zip code? Have they had certain challenges? What just happened? All those things just that makes them that person. Okay, fine. And then say, okay, when you're working with them and you're thriving, what's the very first impact that your work has on them? It might be they reframe how they see something about themselves, a mental thing, not an action thing where something new happens, but a mental thing. Or they reframe how they see something in the world, and maybe then they start to release something that they're holding on to that's holding them back, or they realize they have a limited belief and now they deal with it. Or then you teach them a new skill set or a new mindset, and then they teach them a new skill set. Then they use this skill set. Then they use this skill set and they get new results. Then they take the results and they share it in the community. And then they teach others what they learn. It's like, how high do the impacts go? We just say, what's the next impact? And we get to the highest one they can visually see having. They literally could create a world changer through their work, or they could just help someone release the weight of an unhealthy life, or get past the fact that they were sexually abused as a child, and that's what's stopping them from setting really powerful goals. Whatever it is for them, what are those impacts? That's what we mean. Impacts come in levels, and it starts with small things, and it gets as high as they can see. And so then we say, okay, great. Have your heart give you another one. Say, hey, heart, give me another one. Oh, it's the couple. It's the, so the first one could have been a young person. The next one could be an old person. One could be this problem. The other could be this problem. One could be a male. One could be a female. One could be a couple. It's like there. And say, just give, once they do that a few times, maybe they just do it once. So that's it. That's the type of person. That's it. Or there's another one, another one, another. So I have clients that have 3 or 4. I have a financial lady who's very powerful, and she has 13 because there are different mindset and need sets at different moments of life when it comes to money, and your family runs big businesses, and so you have that too. So, but like I have three
What are your
types of people. So we'll call that what it is without jargon. It's a target audience.
Mm-hmm.
You're targeting your message to them and saying, hey, target audience number 1, the brand is here and it's here for you. And you're sharing language that they resonate with. So they're a target audience. So those 2 things we just described, close your eyes and what does it look like when you're thriving? And what are you doing? Write down the doings. And hey, have your heart give you one. That's step 1 and 2 with your eyes closed.
Literally with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
I think sometimes.
And it's from inside them.
Well, that's the part. When did you realize, like for you, like to be able to pull the brand out of you rather than out of them? Sometimes the conductor is not quite as proficient as being able to do it internally, and then sometimes they're even better. You know what I mean? So it's like for yourself, how were you able to do that with you, and especially because you pivoted and changed? How were you able to, in essence, rebrand yourself in a branding world from company to singular? How did you do it?
I'm not really sure I understand the question.
Oh,
you're part of the.
What was your process?
Part of the question. Is part of the question. How did I choose my own target audiences?
Yeah. How did you do it for you?
Okay. It's a good question. It really is a good question, and because we all have that. So, it was knowing what I know and having done it for so many others, including big companies.
Right.
And sometimes it's technically based.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's type of industry based, or what are they doing and what needs. It has to do with whatever the client company needs are satisfying in the marketplace. But when I had helped 3 people and decided and realized I'm supposed to be doing this. It's my gift.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my skill. It's a gift, and it flows through me. I felt it when I was doing those individuals. It was like I would say things, and they didn't even feel like I said them. It felt like they came through me, not from me. Mm-hmm. And so I had this sense that, I was supposed to be doing this. And then I asked myself, well, whom do I really want to focus on? Mm-hmm. And I did it in 2 ways. One was intuitively from my heart, what brought me the most joy. Mm-hmm. And the other was who seems to be listening, who seems to be stepping up when they hear me speak. Mm-hmm. Is it men? Is it women? Are they new in their careers? Have they done things for a long, long time? And who seems to, and so I've done this individual focus now for, it's going on 9 years.
Right. Wow.
9 years since I made the decision I'm going to work with them. And it got clearer and clearer. But in the beginning, I said it seemed to be women 40 to 65 who run a business or have run a business or a leader in a business, and they're ready to take it to another level. They're not sure how to do that and how to get credit and how to position themselves, and they really need help. And I've been married for 48 years now. In about 2 weeks,
Wow.
48 years and 53 Valentine's days in February. I'm safe. I'm not trying to, it's like, and I speak straight talk, not jargon.
Yep.
And I speak at Christian business luncheons and I'm a man of faith. And so a lot of things made me, a go-to person. I think I've had people, women, come up, and I have men and women clients. I have young clients. I have clients who's 83. I have a client who's 27. But it seemed to be that sweet spot was professional women with experience that want to take another look, want to get the branding right moving forward. They know branding is important, but they're intimidated by it. They don't trust it. They don't know who can help them. And they have all these stories. Many of them, it's their own story. They paid somebody and nothing happened. They got a coach and they didn't know what they're, it's like, there's a lot of crap, and you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So it's like, there's that part of the, who do you trust? And I come across as very trustable, very straightforward, straight talk, and deep experience. So we actually use that straight talk you can trust and deep experience you can count on to help, position the brand. But so that was the first thing I wrote down. And it evolved to 4 things, and I combined 2 of them. So those combined 2 are deeply experienced entrepreneurs or professionals who know there's more and want to make a much bigger impact, but they don't know how, and they want to get it right the first time. They don't want to do this again and again. They don't want to make mistakes, and branding is something they don't understand. It's not their ken, and they got to get it right. How do you get something that's so amorphous right? How do you get it right?
Yeah.
And who can really help you, and who can really understand what I do in a way? Well, so part of the acceptability is I ran a high-tech ad agency and ran new business. I was tracking 350 industries at a time. It's like a new language is like a shiny object for me, And so, but if somebody says, well, I don't know if you really, will understand what I do because I design semiconductor chipsets. No problem. It's like, well, I don't know if you know what I do because I help people overcome, early, sexual abuse when they're a child. No problem. It's like, so I've done this for so long, and even in the personal space, whatever kind of expertise or coach or wisdom or process or thought, thinking or technology or product. I have clients who integrate software and help make manufacturers and distributors intelligent enterprises because they eliminate all the silos of data, and they can make decisions faster and gain a competitive advantage. I have clients who make uniforms in a factory and want to change the shape of the nature of safety for people who work in dark places by having uniforms that have light on them. It's like, but they see it as a calling, and they found me and I found them, and like, you're the right one. And so it doesn't matter what the process, what the product or service or expertise or specialty is. Number one, it's number one on the list of here are the top 25 things that I hear, and I hear them from big companies. I hear from the first thing on the list is we need better ways to say what we do. Wait a minute, you do it, yeah, but yeah, and so deeply experienced entrepreneurs and professionals who know they want to take it to a higher level. They're at that gate for the next level, and the gate's locked. Who can help me? Who can really understand? And I don't want to do this more than once. I know it's important, but I don't know how to get at this. And they hear me speak, and they hear it's just a process. And they're like, you know what? Can we talk? We get on Zoom. They hire me. It's like, it's quick. Or they come to a half day, and then they come to a 1-day workshop where they do all the 7 steps in microcosm because I worked with them on a step 2 impact statement. And then they go, wow, I get this. How do we get this all done? Okay. So
that to me is, and I'm going to let you continue. I'm not going to talk over you. What I am going to say is that to me sums up nicely the fact of the urgency is a word I don't like to throw around, but there is that sense of that when you identified that people may not be in a position or have the bandwidth to be able to do that multiple times. You know what I mean? Especially in regards to their own personal
bandwidth
brand.
and money, and it's
That's what I meant, right?
And it's time.
Yeah.
That time's the great equalizer. We only have so much, and we don't know how much we have. So it's like the last thing you want to do is screw around and say, "Well, we tried this and we tried that." And frankly, I'm going to say something, and listen tight, and you can actually write this down. One of the biggest mistakes that people make, and I had this master class that I do, 4 things a brand must have to come alive, and the 17 things brands do that hurt themselves, and you need to stop right now. It's like, okay, one of those is, well, we just need leads. We need leads. And they jump to marketing. They go, they hire a third-party person, get us some leads. They use the language they know works. They say free, and then they take a book they wrote that's irrelevant, and they put free. They say, yeah, that'll get some leads, and they get leads, and they create confusion and misinformation. They don't get credit for what they're unique, what they're unique for. Competitors get ahead of them. They waste a ton of money on marketing, and they say, well, we tried that. That marketing didn't work. It wasn't the marketing that didn't work. It's that the brand wasn't clearly defined and languaged before it opened its mouth and started marketing. When a brand is clearly defined in language with such clarity that whom you're really going to impact and the impacts you're really going to have, those 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of the whom's, when that is so clear, a bunch of other people that aren't in those feel the clarity, and they're attracted too. So it's like, get over it. You don't have to have 17 target audiences. You just need clarity. And clarity. I wrote an article of a chapter in a book that went #1 bestseller, and my chapter was called "The Clarity with Which Your Brand Speaks Shapes Its Impacts." And speaks means everything. Speaks means the words you use, how you say them, how you show up, what you look like, the consistency across the board or not. If it's inconsistent, you break trust. If it's consistent, you build trust. Take your pick. It's like all of those things are speaks. Even any entry portal, website above the fold, homepage above the fold on a website speaks. Your business card speaks. A leave behind speaks. A testimonial or an endorsement from somebody else that says to somebody else about you speaks. It's all speaks. The clarity with which your brand speaks shapes its impact. So when you have clearly defined and languaged your brand so that the way it says things is consistent across the board, its unique categories of expertise are unique and they transfer energy. When you get those things checked off the list and now you're consistent, your message hierarchy, your messages, #1 overcomes the barrier. And if you don't overcome the barrier, they bounce off. You lose anyway. So you've got to have message #1 to overcome the barrier. Where'd you find that all these things? It's just steps in the process.
So that is a beautiful thing to break at this point. I'm going to ask it before we wrap, because there's a lot of people that have been floundering and they're trying to be authentic and they mean well and what have you. Is there anything that you could suggest to just begin the process? And of course, I will have your contact information and your website and all that sort of thing. But if they're just sitting around, in essence, buried in the minutia of circumstances, time, and all that sort of thing, what would be one thing? It doesn't have to be the only thing, but one thing they could do to remove a little bit of clutter so they could look forward and start to identify it's just a process and I can handle this. What would you suggest?
I have 2 things I'll say. One, the reason we've created the free master classes and the half day that talks about what happens when you define and language your brand and what happens when you don't, is for that person to start to reframe how they see what's possible and how they see what a brand really is. Okay, so that's why we've created those. So that's the first thing I think is like, hey, you show up and it'll help you. But if you're in your room by yourself and you want to do something right now, I would say close your eyes and ask yourself if you could, what are the things that you love to do that bring value to others? And if what comes up for you is that you want to deliver food to shut-ins, or if what comes up to you is you love to play music because it takes people to a different place, and you love to write love songs because it takes people to a different place and they need to go to that place, or you know that you can solve a problem technically and people don't understand it, or you could take the technical problem off their shoulders and you just love it because you just love this. What do you love doing that brings value to others? See, when we lose track of time doing something, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for like 6 hours. That's one way God tells us maybe what we should be doing. And so, take advantage of that. It's kind of built in,
Maybe just close your eyes. Rich, I'm honored. And so I will have all of your information in. I find your energy really powerful. And I just think the fact of pulling people out, so to speak, of depths of things is really important. And I know my audience has gotten a ton of value from this already. The best way to find you, obviously, LinkedIn, obviously, your website, anywhere else before that you want me, or those are my two best in terms of having that information so you don't have to read links out loud is all I'm asking.
Yeah. This is video, and above me, you see the name of the business, RichBrands. It's who I am and what I do, RichBrands. Okay. If you just add a .org to that, that's the website.
I'll have the link there, and I'll make it easy for people.
But
so
here's why:
waiting,
right on the homepage, you get free videos that answer a lot of questions, and it says "Talk to Rich for 30 minutes." I've been doing this for 48 years now. People say, "Man, you should be on a beach or on a yacht."
Right.
I'm on Zoom. Take advantage of it. I would love to hear about you. I've heard it all before, but you are so uniquely different. And I know that because I do this all day long, every day, and I get to do it. It's love. It's not even work for me. I want to hear what you're struggling with, what challenges you, why you think you can't move. I want to hear what you envision. Just in 30 minutes, we can make huge impact. Just use it.
Oh my God. They're quite generous. And look, anybody that's helping people, get a little further ahead, are aces in my book. Rich Kozak, thank you so much for joining me, sir. I am absolutely thrilled that you made the time.
It's a real pleasure. We're made for each other. And when the book is out, I'm coming back because we want to make sure we get that into millions of people's hands so that you understand you can literally do this, and it will open that locked gate to the next level of the impact you'll make in your life. Thanks. I really appreciate you, man. John.
I appreciate you. Folks, it's another episode of Your Message Received. Keep liking, watching, sharing, telling all your friends, and we'll keep driving content through your front door. John Duffin here, Duffin Media. Have a great rest of the day. I'll talk soon. Bye.
And now, making its way across the finish line, Your Message Received has been a production of Duffin Media.